Hello, my friends. It is me, Karen Valentine. Welcome to the Celebrate Happy Colorathon hosted by Ashley from Ashley Colors in celebration of her birthday. And it's kind of a cool concept. I love what she's done. She's encouraged everybody who is streaming to do what makes them happy. And I love that. So I have chosen to do what is making me happy these days. And that is to show you guys how I do a dog portrait. I'm also doing some wildlife and other stuff like that. But basically it's me doing kind of my own artwork as opposed to coloring pages. And the cool thing about the drafting film, which is what I'm going to work on, is that you're basically going to turn any image that you want into a coloring page. So you could take a picture of your own dog or anything that you want to draw, and make it real easy to create some original artwork for yourself. So the other thing you've probably noticed that makes me happy is that I'm doing a premiere video as opposed to a live stream this time. The premiere videos are just so much easier for me. I can get them recorded ahead of time and I can concentrate on what I'm doing and not worry about the live chat. And then that way I can just hang out in the chat room with the rest of you guys and chat without worrying about trying to do too many things at one time. So I am going to pull out some pencils. I'm going to figure out why my camera seems to be slowly sliding down in angle, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that does not happen again. Alrighty, so there are a couple of different, if you're not familiar with drafting film, there are a couple of different brands that you can get. One is Duralar, and that's available on Amazon. And that looks like this. And it is 0.005 two-sided matte film. It's a polyester film. It is not paper. And you can do some really cool things with it. The other brand, it's actually by Grafix too, so I don't want to get you confused. But the other version of this paper is just a little bit more upgraded version. There is a tiny little bit more tooth to it. I prefer it, but the Duralar, works great too, and is a good one to try if you're not sure whether you want to use drafting film or not. And you can get that one on Dick Blick, and I'll have links to both of those in the description box down below. So what I did was I printed my image twice. Now this is a really interesting thing to note when you're printing your reference photos. This is the same image one's flipped, but the color difference on this is quite significant depending on what paper I used. Pay no attention to the crappy lines running across it. I don't know what's going on with my printer. I'm not a very happy camper right now. But anyway, this is like a photo paper used for doing brochures and fancy printing. And this is just regular old crappy photo paper. Not photo paper, printer paper. So you can see there's a significant difference in the way that the colors came out, which I found really interesting. So I'm not sure how mine's going to turn out. I'm not sure which one of these I'm going to use for my color reference. Maybe I'll use both of them. I don't know. But I did print it twice because I wanted to have one beside me so you guys could see what I was doing as opposed to me working from my iPad. And then I reversed this one so that we can do the sketch for what we're going to do on the back side of the film, so that you are not having to worry about erasing your lines as you're working, because I am constantly forgetting. If I do draw on the front, I forget to remove those lines. And then when you go to add the Polychromos pencils, at least that's what I'm using is the Polychromos, because they're kind of sheer. You really, those lines stay. They're hard to get rid of. So this is just, I'm just doing a rough. The eye, I might take a little bit more care in getting it really right. But it's cool. The drafting film is so cool because you can put your reference photo right underneath to see what you're doing. And this pencil on the back side will just erase away as I go. I'm just going to kind of erase what I don't want to see. If it's bothering me or whatever, I can just erase the back side. And his nose is really dark, so it's kind of hard for me to see through the drafting film. So thankfully I have a copy of it next to me, even though it's flipped. I'll try and get this somewhat accurate. Trying to do this backwards. It's a challenge. Okay, forget what I'm looking at and do with what I know that it should probably, there we go. There we go, okay. So in my studio, I have clipboards hanging up across the top of the closet. And they're what I use to hold some of this artwork, especially the drafting film artwork, because it doesn't have to be protected behind glass. I can just kind of hang it up there on those clipboards. And I love the way that it looks with all of the dogs being on white backgrounds. So this one will add to that collection when it's finished. So I'm just kind of doing a somewhat rough sketch of these curls. I usually wind up needing to follow the reference photo more than I do my sketch. It just seems to work out better that way. Sketch is nice, but sometimes it can get confusing. And then this is going to fade out almost to white, so I probably won't do much there. The curls don't have to be exact. That's kind of one of the nice things about doing dogs, is that the curls are not always going to be exactly in the same position, so it really doesn't matter. Okay, let's get this eye done here. I could have had this all done beforehand, but I thought you might like to see the process. Sometimes you draw it out, and then when it comes time to actually start drawing, you go, why did I do that? That doesn't look right. So that's why I say follow your reference photo more than your sketch. Okay, and I'm just going to mark in some of these curls more for a reference point than anything else. Like those two big ones we'll mark in. Okay, do I have, I'm probably out of frame here, but okay. I hope, I should have a piece of white paper to use here. Yes, I do. This is not exactly the right size though, so I'll fix that in a minute. And already I can see that I'm getting pencil marks all over the place. That's interesting. Why is that? Are my hands that dirty? Didn't think my hands were that dirty. So a good kneaded eraser will help really clean it up. I can't figure out why it's so dirty though. I think my hands are filthy. I think that's the problem. I've been working on art projects all day, so I better go wash my hands because that's not a good place to start. Okay then. Yeah. Make sure you start with clean hands. That's all I can say. Okay, so let's swap out this paper for one that's a better size. And keep in mind that whatever paper you use underneath your piece, if there's any texture to it at all, it will transfer to your drawing. So be aware of that. Okay, so I don't know what I did to get this so dirty. And I don't even know how well you guys can see this because it's quite light on here, but I can see it, and that's the important part. Otherwise, I would not be able to do it. So I think I'm going to start with the eye. And I'm going to go ahead and fold my paper so that it makes it a little bit easier for you guys to see and helps me keep everything in frame. So I think that I can zoom in a little bit and still be in frame. Let's see. I have a nice little tripod now that allows me to push a little bit. Okay. Hopefully we're good. Alrighty then. So I was not very prepared, and I didn't get out all of my little handy dandy tools that I want to use. I'm going to use my mono eraser and my slice tool. Okay, so colors that I want. I think we'll go with walnut brown, 177, and burnt umber. And I want something light, maybe Bistre. That one's little. Okay, and then we need black. Alrighty. So here we go. So I'm going to start with black. You do not have to press very hard at all on drafting film. It takes the color so well. And actually, you don't want to press very hard to start with. You want to keep your pressure kind of light. Because you can always build up and add color. Kind of debating if I want to add the hair around the eye yet. No, maybe not. Okay, I'm going to start with the Bistre. I'm going to use little circles here. Drafting film doesn't always blend like it does, or pencils don't blend on the drafting film like they do on paper. So you kind of do the blending as you go. This is burnt umber. We'll try a little bit of this walnut brown. Now I'm getting myself confused with what line I drew for the outline. I don't remember what I did. So that's where a proportional divider comes in really handy. And you can check and see like this is the eyeball. So that is what I did draw. That big circle is the full eyeball. So I'm going to add some black. And then I think this here is where that white kind of goes. This black comes all the way around except for a little sliver. Now the fun thing about the drafting film, as we get a little bit closer, you'll see that you can use your eraser and your slice tool to pull back and bring out those light highlights again. So just going over it a second time, adding a little bit more dark to what I have here. Now, I'm not too worried about trying to make that highlight look exactly like the shape. That's just me. You know, there's some things that I try really hard to make look exactly the same, and there's some things that I kind of feel like it's not necessary. Okay, so something I did not draw in when I was working, I got the roundness, but I didn't really kind of do that. I actually also think I still want it to be a little bit darker. So back to the walnut brown. And we're going to fill in the pupil a little bit darker too. It's kind of weird. Dog pupils don't ever really appear round. In all of the portraits that I've done, the pupil is never like a round circle like it is with humans. It always seems to be uneven. It always has uneven edges, which I kind of find interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to put some lines across that highlight so that it's not just a blank white area. What I'm trying to say, just to try and make it look a little bit more realistic. All right, I'm going to pull out, this is Warm Gray 3. I'm going to use that in here. Okay, let's do some of this hair around the eye. Now again, proportional divider is really nice. If you've printed your, if your photo and your drawing are exactly the same size, it's really easy to come in here and double check and make sure that your spacing is all, kind of good. Because I didn't really do a super good job of sketching my reference. So you always want the your brush strokes, your pencil strokes to go in the direction that the fur is actually growing. That's kind of an important thing. I haven't gone very dark yet. So you can still see that it doesn't look anywhere near as dark as the reference photo is, but I can deepen that later. I just kind of want to get the basic shape in first. And I want to bring this dark all the way down, and we'll pull out the white on top of it. I'm not sure why that line is so far, it's so far low then. I don't know what I was What was I thinking? No, see, look, it's an illusion, because when I measure from the end of the pupil, not pupil, what's that? Iris, end of that to the black, look how far down that line is supposed to go. It really is an optical illusion, so I got to make this a lot bigger, which is really kind of amazing. It doesn't seem like it's that big. But the proportional divider does not lie. So I wonder, maybe this needs to go up like a little bit higher. Okay, so I want somewhere in here, we've got to get a little bit of a white highlight, and that's actually kind of right there. And then it gets dark. And then this is not really white, it's kind of gray. Takes a few strokes with the eraser to kind of pull that color off, but eventually you get there. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more pressure down low to darken that up. But I kind of still want to leave some of it lighter. And this is one of those cases when you definitely either want to use a brush or a, this is like a bulb syringe. If you guys have followed my channel at all, you know that when I work in colored pencil on regular paper, I have a really bad habit of using my hand to brush stuff away. And on regular paper, for me, that hasn't been a problem. I know that I get yelled at every time I do it, but I only do it because it doesn't seem to be a problem for me. Maybe it's climate, you know, the way that the pencils react different in the different heat, humidity. I don't know why that is, but anyway, my point is that on this particular paper, really important not to use your hand because it will smear. Okay, so we've got some of our darkest darks in now. I'm starting to kind of see the values better, and that can make a big difference in now. It's obvious to me that the color of the eyeball is not dark enough. So I'm going to add some black up top here. And some burnt umber or walnut brown, or maybe I break out the dark sepia. Let's try this dark sepia. Yep, I would say that as a winner. Okay, so I still think we need a little bit more dark here. And this here is darker. This. And then I'm not sure if it will work or not, but I want this to be a little bit lighter. There just probably is not enough color down to scrape away. So I'm gonna try this Museum Aquarelle by Caran d'Ache. Yeah, even that didn't really get it to be light enough. Okay, never mind. We'll just keep working with what we got here. So, I guess that's not too bad. Okay, there's one eye. Should we do the nose? Am I happy with that eye? Or do I want it to still be darker? You know what? I still need that pupil to be a little bit darker. If I ever have a problem getting my darks dark enough, I can always go onto the back side and add color on the back side, and that gives it just that much more depth that we had than what we had before. All right, so now the question is, do I just want to move on and do the nose? And why did I get smudges on it already? Yes, I did. Okay. Let's do the nose. And then we'll, I'm debating on doing both eyes at the same time. Yeah, let's do the other eye. Okay. It's probably a good idea to do both of them at the same time. Okay, so we have yeah, I didn't draw everything that I needed to draw on here. That's okay though. All right, so this is the pupil. And I could always throw my page underneath here and redraw if I needed to, but I think we'll be okay. This is definitely the pupil. Actually, I don't need that. And then this is going to be white. And then all this is the dark. And this, I think, is, yep. It does kind of fascinate me at how much of an optical illusion you get with It's not an optical illusion, but you think that something is way bigger than it should be, and then you measure it and it's like, oh wow, I was way off. So that proportional divider has been one of the best tools I ever got. And actually I got lucky and my husband had one. The brass one, which is really nice, but you can get them. In fact, I purchased one on Amazon that's plastic for like 10 bucks. Okay, and then let's get that going. This probably could be dark sepia instead of black, but okay, let's get some. This one seems to have a lot more light in it than the other one did. But you can always use your artistic license and change it up if you want to. I actually think I'm going to prefer it to be a little bit darker. So let's use some walnut brown. Let's start darkening all this stuff up here. Even though a lot of this looks very solid here, I'm still going to use my straight strokes because that's what it actually is, even though it's so dark and they're so close together that you can't really differentiate. I've gotten so used to drawing on my easel when I'm doing my pastels, so you're kind of up at an angle. It's been a while since I've drawn on a flat surface, and I'm kind of feeling like, oh, I'm kind of feeling like it's affecting my neck. But I can't imagine using colored pencil up on an angle. I might have to try it. I haven't tried it, so I guess I shouldn't say no before I give it a try. But I'm so used to being able to rest my arm when I use the pencils. Okay, so we need Probably a little bit of both. Probably split the difference on this. So I'm going to bring this down and maybe bring this up. I'll get this all dark. And this is still not dark enough. But I'd rather start out lighter and keep working my way darker than pressing down and going too hard too early. It's a little bit better. Okay, let's use some of that dark sepia. Here. And black. Okay, let's use some of that gray. What gray do we want? This probably would work. This is the warm gray 3. Do that. All right, well I feel pretty good about that. Even though it looks kind of weird. First, let's just double check this. Well, something's a little off, but I think it'll be okay. That might be it right there. That made it look weird. Okay. All right, let's do the nose. Okay, I'm going to start by fixing. I think I'll just do it. So because it was kind of dark and I couldn't really see what my reference photo was doing, I didn't quite get this shaped right. That's a little bit better. I think that's the one that I completely did by myself. That's better. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the darks in. We haven't really had a chance to do the fun stuff with the slice tool or the Tombow. We can probably maybe do it here. We'll see. All right, the whole nose is pretty much outline. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm debating on whether or not to add some white dots first and then go over them, or just use the Tombow. Okay, so I haven't done a gazillion of these. I'm going to try this and see how it works. I'm not sure if it will work or not. So let's just test and see. So I'm, you kind of have to just, because you can't see them. So this is kind of an experiment. So I put some white down first. The question is, will it act as a resist for the black or not? I don't know. I think I'm going to prefer to remove with the eraser. So let's get some dark on here, black. Every time I do a page, I'm learning. I'm not a super expert in any way, shape, or form in what I'm doing. So it's always kind of a experiment to see what works and what doesn't. I think because I know I want, you know, a variation of the values. I want my blacks to be nice and black, and I want different shades of dark on here. Like obviously all of this down here is way darker than what we've got going up on top. I think I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna keep doing it until I feel like I need to stop doing it. Try something else. So lots of little tiny circles to try and get it to look as smooth as I can. This we want a little bit thicker and darker. Maybe I'll do half the nose and then the other half the nose. It does appear that putting those white circles down did work though, because as I add some more dark, you can see the little dots. So now I want to stop because I kind of like that. Yeah, I kind of like that. So I'm second guessing my technique now. All right, let's see what happens if we take the Tombow eraser, because we have some little white dots over here. And let's see what happens when we do it that way. It's It's a little more difficult to get them white because you really have to get in there and swirl that eraser around. And then the dots start to get too big. I guess I could just, instead of swirl, just kind of press and pull. But again, I think that they're not quite, I think they're kind of too big. So I'm just gonna go around them. Okay, so I think what I am going to do, and this could, yes, I just had a, just had a brilliant idea. Okay, so I'm going to put a piece of tan paper underneath, and now I think, yes. So now when I use my white pencil, I can see where I'm putting all those little dots. Yay. And I'm not sure how big the dots need to be to show up, you know. So we're just going to try a variety of sizes here. Now, they're not going to show up on top of that black, so I might have to use a different tool for that. But let's throw some up here. Can you guys see, or am I totally... Oh, let's do this. So I did my very first portrait, a human portrait. I just finished it up today, as a matter of fact, of my grandson. And it turned out pretty good. I will say that doing portraits of a real person as opposed to a portrait of, like, on a coloring page is vastly different. When you have to make it actually look like the person that you're trying to portray, boy howdy, it is it's a lot different than just doing a coloring portrait where you do some things that you know, generic things. It's totally different. But it was fun, and I learned a lot, and I want to keep doing it. I did it in pastels, so it would be cool if I could kind of get my technique down a little bit better and then show you guys how to do a portrait in pastels. Well, I'm really happy about that. Putting that white down first. That worked really well. And you can go right over the top of it. You don't have to worry about drawing around it. It's still showing up It kind of acted as a resist. And we're going to darken up a lot more though. As you can see, the darks are still not nearly dark enough, so I'll just keep going. Now in this case, we can't put the black on the back side in order to make it darker, because if we do that, oh, no, wait, that's not right, because the white on here is, we're not using the paper as the white. Never mind, scratch that. Pay no attention to what I just said. We may be able to after all if we need to. If you're using the white paper as your highlight, as your white, like if you used a scratch tool or something, then you couldn't add your darker color on the back, because then that would just completely cover up your highlight. But we might be able to still do that. Although I'm not sure if we need to. I think it's gonna get dark enough. I'm kind of feeling like I want to add some purple in here. I don't think that nose should be just straight black, so I think I'm gonna pull out my darkest purple. What would that be? Well, we could use dark indigo. Maybe. That's not really purple, but it's something other than black, which would be nice. But I kind of feel like I want, let's do, you know what? Let's do, I can't pronounce it. Indanthrene Blue. Yeah, let's use that one. Okay. So let's throw a little bit of that down here. Maybe that's still too blue. Kind of feel like I want a purpley color. So I thought that was going to be purple enough, but it's not. So I'm going to use a little bit of Delft Blue. It's still looking very blue. You know what? I'm going to take this brown out, go back to my white. Okay, that's helping that color show up a little bit more. But I still think it's too blue. I don't know why I want purple, but I just feel like I do. You know what? Let's try Caput Mortem Violet. Let's try that. I'm learning that the blacks look so much more interesting when they're not just black. When you have other colors in there, it makes for a much nicer portrait. And I think it's because black and white kind of always reflect colors around them. All right, let's go with that. And then back to black. Because we still need it to be darker. But I feel I like the way it looks better now that there's a little bit of more color in there. think those are the two tips. I don't know, maybe they're not tips, but like the two things that I've learned that I think are the most valuable lessons that I've learned since I've started doing this art in general, is how important values are to get your darks dark enough and your lights light enough, and having that it just makes it, the page just is so much more interesting when you've got high contrast between lights and darks. And then the other one is adding other colors into what you're doing. Kind of like when we just added the blues and purples on here. And so it doesn't matter whether you're doing a coloring page or some original art, putting in those different colors that you wouldn't necessarily think belonged can really make a big difference. I'm still learning to do that, and I still want to get better at that, but I like the results when I do it, and I do it right. Okay, so this needs to still be a little bit darker. And some of my lights are probably a bit too light if I'm going to compare it directly to the reference photo. But that may be a choice that I decide on purpose to let it be lighter. So it's not like I made a mistake and didn't get it lighter. It's that I'm making an artistic choice to keep it a little bit lighter, because I kind of like that. There's an area here that I think should have been left a little bit lighter. So I can just take my mono eraser and I just dotted that color right out, and it just lightened it up real nice. So that makes me happy. Okay, so there is our eyes and our nose. Yay! I'm looking at this and I'm going, do his nostrils need to still be a little bit bigger? So I'm going to add some more dark and hopefully give the impression that it's kind of rounding out. That's good. I'm happy with that. Okay. So, when I do portraits, then I usually start working, you know, out from what I have started. So I think what we'll do is work on the area around that eye. And then whatever, I mean, I know we're probably not even halfway through, but there's no way we're gonna get finished with this whole thing, but I will finish recording it in another probably couple of parts, and get those up on my site as well, in case you want to watch the whole thing come about. Okay, so I have to decide if I want to go a little more reddish or stay with this kind of brownish color, or maybe I do a little bit of both. So I want Caput Mortem, and I want burnt sienna. I have my little color swatch chart right here beside me, and it makes it so nice because my squares are nice and big and I can just kind of peek over and pull some colors. So we also probably have some colors out already that we'll use, like this burnt umber and the walnut brown is somewhere around here too. Nope, don't want dark sepia. Don't want Caput Mortem violet. Okay, where are you? There it is. Okay. Alrighty, so let's start with seeing what these colors look like on here. Okay. So we can use the slice tool when it's time to do this white part and slice right up over the eye. But we have to make sure that there's enough color down in order to make that happen. So okay, so that's the burnt sienna, and I'm kind of wondering if I want Bistre or raw umber. What do I want? What do I have here? This is Bistre. Let's see what this looks like. That's quite kind of brown, which is okay. Let me just look and see what. Oh, what's that? Brown ochre. No, that might be too yellow. Okay, I want to see what this brown ochre looks like. We might use that higher up. I don't think I want that down here yet. So let's stick with burnt sienna, and maybe we can pull the lightness out with the slice tool. It's funny, every time I switch back and forth between mediums, like when I use the pastel pencils on the pastel mat, I think, oh, this is just the only media I want to use. I love doing this. And I think, oh man, but then I have all my colored pencils and I don't want to not use them. And then I break out the colored pencils and I think, what was I thinking? I love using colored pencils on drafting film. So I switch back and forth every time I do a piece of what my favorite medium is. I don't think I have to choose. I think I can do whatever I want, and that's okay. All right, I'm just gonna, that was, I don't remember if I used walnut brown or burnt umber right just now, but now I'm going over it with the burnt sienna. I quite like this color. I want to see what happens when I use the slice tool on it and see how light, or what the color, what happens, you know, like what color do I get when I use the slice tool, because it doesn't ever seem to slice out to white. At least not for me. It seems to always leave behind a little bit of residue. So I want to see what that does. But this still needs to be darker. His little eyebrow there. I don't want to use black. And I'm not sure that I want to use dark sepia because that's really dark. But let's just see what happens. Let's try a little bit of it. Well, it seems to be doing okay. I'm thinking that I need a little bit more of that. Those yellow tones in here, I thought that it was too yellow, but now that I'm looking at the burnt sienna, it almost looks too red. I think I'm going to wind up using a combination of the two to kind of get the colors that I want. Let's just take a second and see what happens when we use the slice tool. I'm going to use the rounded side as opposed to the really super pointy side. Oh, sorry. Jeez Louise, was I in... I hope I wasn't out of frame through all that. Oh, I'm so sorry. Sometimes I look up at the camera and it's like, oh crap, what did I do? Okay, so I'm going to use the more rounded end of the tool as opposed to the pointy end. I love these because I'm notorious for cutting myself with sharp objects. But there's something about these that you don't cut yourself. Now when you use this, the idea is to scrape, not cut. I'm going to zoom in even more so that you guys can see this. Let's see what we're going to do. I think you can see now. So it's just bringing those highlights that are right here above the eye. It's just pulling them right off. I just love this so much. I get so excited when I'm doing it and it works the way, you know, you hope that it will work. And it's like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. It's just fun. Yes, I'm amused by very simple things. Okay, so let's keep going with, what do I need? Burnt sienna, Bistre, I think I was using. Burnt sienna, Bistre. I'm not sure if I want, oh, I might use that in the, and walnut brown. I want to see what this Caput Mortem does in here. Right in here. I like the, yeah, I like that. I like the Polychromos on the drafting film because you can layer, because they're kind of translucent, You can really layer your pencils to get, well, that's not gonna work. Sorry, I'm trying to find the right amount of fold here. That's not bad. So the, you know, the Bistre and the Sienna Brown seem to make a nice mix to get the color that I want. Oh, the nice thing about putting your pencil on the back side of the film is that we'll have no line of demarcation. So the fur comes up and it just fades away into nothing, because we'll erase that line and that'll be good. So, where are we at? We're at about an hour. A little over an hour, I think. I'll have to stop the camera and double check to make sure that I'm not going to go over in time. So I really like this color for this top hair. It seems to be just the right shade. Oh, it sounds like my husband's home. Cooper is starting to carry on. He gets very excited when Steve comes home. Okay, gotta make sure that that hair is going in the right direction. Don't want to go in the wrong direction. Okay, we'll go there. And let's go ahead and start adding some more of this Sienna Brown in here. I almost feel like I'm zoomed in too much. I kind of feel like I am, so I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. Hair over here seems to be a lot more red, so I don't think I'll use any of the Bistre here. I think we'll just switch right to this. I don't want to get too far into this before I do a little double check with my proportional divider. I want to make sure of where these darker tones go. Can see all these really fine little hairs in here that are going to be fun to play with the slice tool with, I think. Okay, yeah, see, I started getting carried away and I did some stuff that I think I wish I hadn't done, and that is right in here. I'm gonna pull this back. So that should have been more of the, I'm gonna zoom out because I'm afraid I'm gonna get out of frame here. Because all of this should have been the, oh, not that one, this one, Bistre. Okay, that's better. Typically, I probably would do more more color at a time and then come in and do more of the slice tool, but you know, when it's, I want to keep it interesting. I want to keep the video interesting, and at least this way, you know, we can do something different occasionally. So this hair here, it's really not all going in the same direction. It's crossing over a little bit. It's not all perfectly parallel to each other, as is the way most hair would be. So if you do this, try not to keep all of your strokes exactly parallel to each other when you're doing the hair, because that kind of isn't the way hair would grow or be. I may not have enough color down here yet. I think it still needs to be a little bit darker. And I actually liked the way that Caput Mortem looked, so let's try a little bit of that. Maybe some more Sienna brown too. It's easy to get excited and just start like being in a hurry to want to fill color in, or, you know, if you're not concentrating on what you're doing, it's really easy to make your hair strokes too long, or make your I do it all the time. I get distracted with something else, and then I look back and go, dang, why did I should have just taken my time. I think that's one of those things that you really have to take your time and enjoy the process. This is burnt umber. I want to try and get that a little bit darker. Now, drafting film does not usually take as many layers as color pencil does. Drafting film does not usually take as many layers as paper does. So, I've already got quite a lot of layers down here, but it's still not quite as dark as I want it to be. So, I'm going to flip my paper over. And right in the area that I want it to be a little bit darker, I'm going to add that color on the back side. And it should, if it does what I want it to do, have deepened that color a little bit. I think that's good. I don't think I want it quite as dark, but maybe just a few random hairs. And for that, I'm going to just use black because I just want it nice and dark. But it really doesn't look black. It just looks like a darker version of what we have there. That's good. That's good. I like that. Okay, so let's switch to down here. So I did not put my, I didn't do any lines for this bit right here. So I'm just going to measure from the edge of the black I could pretty much pick anything. What is this? Walnut brown? Yeah, that's fine. So I'd make a mark there. I'll make a mark there. So that is our line for the contours of the face. Okay, so I want to stick with these colors throughout, and they're kind of close to this one, somewhere in between the two. So that is kind of what I was thinking would happen. So that works out all right. I'm gonna go ahead and start. I'm debating on, I think I'm gonna lay some Bistre down first. And now use the burnt sienna. so I'm gonna wanna double check where that ear, where that black line goes. I don't wanna get too far into doing this before I do that. I need to break out something a little darker. The walnut brown. Walnut brown is kind of yellowy. I'm wondering if I should use the Caput Mortem instead. Even though it's not super dark. No, I need a nice dark red brown. I guess that would be walnut brown, huh? Or did I just say the walnut brown was yellowy? I don't know. That's good. Okay, let's bring some of that walnut brown. And I think we're going to bring some black down. And then we'll use the slice tool. And then I'm going to turn the camera off and check the time, because I can't remember how many times I've done that already to do other things. So I just want to double check, because I don't want to run over. Okay. I'm having fun. I don't know about you guys. I hope you're having fun. Yay! Okay, I'm pretty happy with how that's coming along. I want to real quick, this definitely looks like it needs more black in here. That's better. Okay, I'm gonna shut off the camera, and I'm sure I have plenty of time left. I just want to kind of get that number in my head so I don't run over. So I will be back in a flash. Okay, I think I have about 15 minutes left. That'll give you guys a little bit of time to get something to drink before the next stream. And you will have to forgive me. I do not have that information in front of me. That was very very bad of me, but I will obviously, when I'm there in the stream with you guys, I'll let you guys know who's next, and I will I'll also link that down in the description box below. So as I was looking at this, I realized that I think I still wanted that nose to be a little bit darker underneath. So hopefully I don't mess it up too much. I might pull back a little bit, but I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I know that this is still quite a bit lighter than what the reference photo is, but for now, I'm going to leave it. I can always darken it later if I decide that I want to. So I'm going to just kind of keep on going over here for the time being, I think. And actually, I'm gonna grab a paper towel because I feel like I'm getting smudges all over this, and the towel will help protect. Okay, so we'll throw a little bit of here and here. Oh, my camera really seems to be shaking. Yeah, so a little bit here and here, and then this all gets quite a bit darker from the shadow of the ear. I want to make sure that there's plenty of color build up right at the point where the white and the reds meet, so that I have lots of color to scrape away so I can get those nice white hairs in there. Okay, so did I do that? Again, when you get your reference drawing down, you need to either make sure that it's really accurate, or really double check with your ruler, because, or you know, your divider, because I don't know whether I don't know whether that line, I think I did not put the white line in. So I think this all down here is all the red. And then it fades into the white. Okay, maybe a little bit of Bistre. I like the combination of the two mixed together very much. And if those pencil lines on the back side ever bother you, if you ever feel like it's just a distraction once you kind of get your color blocked in, you can always just go on the back side and erase them. Let's see, I'm gonna try walnut brown first. I think it's gonna need some black. Maybe even put some of that in here. Bit more Bistre, I think. And black. probably hear my fans going. They always seem so loud when I don't have music or book going or whatever, and I'm just sitting here in the silence of the room. It's like, oh my goodness, those got to be really loud. Hopefully they don't come out too loud. Okay, I'm not gonna go too crazy with this because I'll probably add more once I get the ear in there. But I'm thinking that it still needs to be a little bit darker all in here. I feel like I probably will get the least amount done of all the streamers today. It does take a little while. Okay, that feels pretty good. Maybe we'll do some, I want to show you, I mean, you probably don't need me to show you this, but I do kind of think it's cool. I'm going to use that slice tool and the white. Let's just make sure I've got enough going on here. Yeah, it'll be good. So once we get the muzzle done, we'll use that slice tool. It's not coming out as white, and I'm wondering if it's because I don't have enough color down. Because really, your lines are going to come out heavier and better when it has more color to scrape away. So because of that, I'm going to throw a little bit more down. Now the cool thing is that when on this paper, when you, and she says that and then she covers up her lines. I don't know what's up with that. A lot of the time when you scrape away and then you put your color on top, that scratch is deep enough that the color won't go into the scratches. I want to make sure I've got enough down there, because these, yeah, so you can probably see. Little scratch marks. That's better. See, that made a difference. I didn't have enough color down so that there wasn't enough pigment to pull off from. And remember, when you use this, that you've got two sides on your slice tool. You've got the really sharp point, and you've got a rounded point. And so if you use your rounded point, your lines are going to be thicker, and if you use your sharp point, your lines are going to be thinner. Normally I wouldn't do this until later, but I wanted you to see what it does. Okay, so we still have to work up there, but I'm gonna wait and do that for a little bit. I want to work on the muzzle here a little bit, I think. So for that, I'm going to use, let's see what the Bistre does. And I'm actually thinking that I might want to use white. You can use the white of the paper underneath as your white. But I think I like it better when I can actually see the white as well. So if I put a piece of tan paper underneath, then I can put my white in and enjoy that process of seeing that go in too. I like it. Get my paper back. Yeah. So you're not going to notice it as much on the whiskers, because the whiskers are then going to show up whatever color you have underneath, tan in this case. Oh, you know what I want to do? I want to put some gray. I thought I had gray. Let's see. This might not be dark enough. No, it's not going to be dark enough. Okay, so I'm going to find a nice dark gray. Maybe, let's see, do I want a cool gray or a warm gray? I think, let's pull out one of each and see. So I'm going to put some of this gray around the nose. Yep, I like that color. So this is going to be another good spot to use this slice tool on. I want to get some Bistre in here too. I just enjoy watching the face and the personality of the dog just develop as you go. I find that so satisfying. Might have gone too far with that. I did. I went too far with that. So that's the beauty of the drafting film, is just erase it away. Lovely. Let's try mixing some cool gray in there too. I wonder, I do often like to mix my cool grays and warm grays together. Going to run out of time. This just 15 minutes went by so fast, and I am going to run out of time. I want to give you guys a chance to go get something to drink before the next stream. So I'm going to end here, and I will continue to film this in subsequent videos. So if you'd like to come back and watch the process and see how I finish it up, please do. Thank you so much to Ashley for putting this all together. The weekend hasn't actually happened for me yet at the moment of filming, but I know that it's going to be a fabulous weekend, and I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody and seeing what makes everybody else happy. So that is all for now, and I will see you guys in the next stream. And thanks for being here. It's been fun. It's been nice to break out the pencils again. So until I see you all again, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Happy coloring, happy arting. Bye.